Pretty heated scene down here in Central Phoenix. We're at Park Central Mall right now at the Zips. You can look inside right here. You see that inside there's not much activity in there. It looks like we've got a bunch of the employees just kind of standing there and walking because we had ICE agents come in here, or federal agents come down here. A large crowd now has gathered in this area. And I want to apologize right off because sometimes they are swearing and saying things and making gestures. But there's a large crowd of people here. Apparently they were protesting at the ICE headquarters, which is just about a mile south of here. And they got wind of what was going on and they came up into this area that more than a dozen Zips locations were being raided by federal agents. We talked to a Phoenix congresswoman a short time ago, actually a council member. She said it's her understanding that they came in here and may have gotten one worker, was at least talking to workers. We don't know if they were taken out the side right now. It looks like this van right here has somebody inside, and now these protesters are kind of blocking this van from leaving. Again, a very volatile situation out here. And it's amazing how quickly that people were able to get into this area and again block this ICE operation. And we don't have many details on it, just that it's more than a dozen different Zips locations. When I asked the councilwoman, do she believe this is some sort of a hiring type issue, if they're going after people for hiring, maybe undocumented? She says she believes it was. But Mark Caribe, no violence out here, I have to say at this point. But again, you've got people walking right up to federal agents, and after what happened in Minnesota, the temperature is very elevated, not only here in Phoenix, but around the country. But again, we're at the Zips at Park Central Mall, where there is some sort of a federal agent operation going on. We believe involving some sort of an employment issue out here. The Zips is shut down, and the agents are still right here behind me, and we have protesters blocking traffic. That's the scene down here in Central Phoenix.
Yeah, Troy, do you see Phoenix police doing anything right now to kind of gather those protesters in a certain area? Are they doing any kind of enforcement yet?
Okay, let's, apparently Troy is having a hard time hearing, which is understandable. Let's continue our coverage now with
Gabriella Becerra.
Gabriella Becerra, who is also live at Park Central. And Gabby, what are you seeing from your vantage point?
Well, Mark, the reason why Troy couldn't hear you is because all of these officers just rolled in. They have gas masks on. They have, I can see canisters of pepper spray. We're standing on just the other side of where Troy was, where these federal agents have been blocked in by protesters trying to leave here. We've heard them yelling at them, physically not letting them get in their cars at times and leave the situation. Some of the cars were able to get out, so all of the protesters are kind of now either some of them approaching, it looks like, some are staying back. We're hearing less shouting right now as people kind of just take in this moment and see what's going on. Again, all of this happening in just the past minute or so. What I want to tell you about what we saw since we've gotten here is a very calm situation on the inside of Zips as federal agents appear to be working inside. About a handful of them ended up walking out. Okay, now we can see these officers advancing towards the crowd here. I'm guessing they're trying to make sure that these federal agents can get out of the way without any trouble. You can see some people are trying to resist, backing up. Again, we can see them holding canisters of most likely pepper spray. But I would say there's at least 50 or so people here, maybe 100. So, very active situation right here as we kind of just take in what's happening, Mark and Caribe.
Yeah, Gabby, you've been out there for a while now. To your knowledge, no one has been arrested, correct?
I did not see anybody escorted out of the building. What we did see was federal agents walking out with boxes of paperwork. So there are two entrances. We've been on the front side, so it's unclear if anyone went out the back end. But I physically did not see anyone detained or arrested. Just to give you guys an idea, too, of this area, this is a shopping center. So we've seen and talked to people that are going to the gym that's here. There's cars that are trying to get in that are met by this situation here. And so just a lot of different people in this area right now.
All right, Gabriella Becerra in downtown Phoenix at Central and Thomas at the Park Central location of Zips Sports Grill.
All right, now we want to head over to Sean Rice, who is at the Zips on Mill Avenue in downtown Tempe. And Sean, that's a very popular location, right? A very popular chain. Lots of maybe college students will, be looking to go there maybe in just a few minutes or so. But tell us what's happening there. It looks like a much quieter scene than what's happening in Phoenix.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say this Tempe location, right in the heart of downtown Tempe, Mill and 7th Street, may be the most popular Zips location just because of the college presence here. Much different scene here than I think what we are seeing where Gabriella and Troy are. What we're seeing here is DHS or HSI agents inside this Mill Avenue location, and then sheriff's deputies lining every single entrance, whether it's this outer fence line, the front doors, or side entrances. There's a sheriff's deputy there at every single one. Now on the inside, I've been able to walk up to each of these windows, and you can clearly see these agents have HSI or DHS, sometimes police, on the backside of their uniform. So it's very clear these are federal agents. We've also seen what appears to be multiple workers inside. Doesn't appear as though they are handcuffed or anything, just being potentially detained at this point. So much, we do see some protesters here to the left, but it is a very calm scene here in Tempe, at least right now. We'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Sean Rice live in Tempe. We want to go back to Park Central. Troy Hayden reporting there. Troy, what's happening?
Yeah, so we just had these agents come in their heavy riot gear, and basically they pushed the protesters back, and you can see them as they're retreating right now with their hands on each other's shoulders coming back, and they got the original officers who were doing this operation out of here. And what we're seeing now are the protesters following them, getting closer and closer to their vehicles. Now, you know, we've all been seeing what's been going on in Minnesota over the last couple of weeks, and this now is starting to look a lot like that in terms of you have agents in full riot tactical gear, and you've got a very large crowd. I'd say it's probably 150 people over here. They are not friendly. Now they're going, why are they going over there? Let's see what's going on over here, Chris. And they are moving in. We saw somebody get shoved earlier. Oh, they may be just leaving. Okay, looks like they're getting in their vehicles right here. So the good news, Mark and Caribe, as long as I've been here, I haven't seen anybody injured, no pepper spray. Protesters definitely confronting these different police officers and agents. We don't know if anybody was arrested. I heard that it was possible that somebody was taken out a side door of Zips. That is not confirmed. But yeah, here we are. It's a scene again that we've seen play out in other cities, and we're seeing it tonight, guys, play out right here in Phoenix.
Yeah, and we still, Troy, don't even know why those federal authorities are there at the Zip locations, right?
I'm having a really hard time hearing you. I'm sorry. I think it's our earpieces out here. But again, now they're riding on the side of these trucks. It looks like, good news, they are getting out of here, and again, without any violence at this point. But what a scene this is. I remember back in the days of SB 1070, when you had protesters, you know, actively kind of resisting police and confronting police. And I'm trying to remember the last time that happened here. But this is a very large group of agents. I mean, some of these cars, they're almost all undercover. You can't tell that they're official cars, but they all have sirens and they all have lights on them, and it looks like they're all trying to get out of here.
Yeah. All right. A potentially volatile situation. Thankfully, staying peaceful.
Yeah.
But remember, we have seen scenes like this in Minneapolis and Portland, and we have known and reported on the fact that we knew ICE would be conducting some sort of operations, probably starting this week.
Yeah.
In the valley, so maybe that has started now.
For sure, and of course tensions are high, and you know,
I'm
a lot
hoping
of
everybody stays out of the way
there,
here because they're driving
we have
pretty
another
quickly
vantage
in a
point
crowded
of what's
area.
happening there at
So
that Zip
shame
fair
on you
at
is the
Central. So let's go
chant
to
out
Gabriella
here.
Becerra and see what she can see from her viewpoint. Gabby?
That appears to be.
Mark and Kribe, we're kind of just on the other end. All of those ICE vehicles are now pulling out kind of just as fast as they came in. They all rushed in here with simply just to get those agents who were stuck in their cars out of here. From our perspective, we could see at least one of the cars had a smashed in window. Now all of the protesters are kind of walking back towards the Zips. They were cheering after these agents left. Unclear if they're going to continue to organize around this area, but just a really chaotic 5 minutes as all those protesters were shouting at the agents, keeping them from leaving, and then they had backup come in, get them all out of here. So just kind of to recap what we've seen today, when we first arrived, very peaceful as people were standing outside of the Zips watching the agents inside do their work. From what we could tell, there were about 5 to 10 of them coming out of the front entrance carrying paperwork. That's when the crowd got riled up and started to confront them. We didn't see any violence, but they were getting in their faces, blocking their cars in with their own cars. At one point, we saw an agent really just reverse very quickly to be able to get out of this parking lot. And so that's, again, when they called in the backup. A lot of sirens. They came in with heavy riot gear, and they were able to get everyone out of here without using any tear gas or pepper spray from what we saw.
Gabby, we're hearing that this protest was planned before any of the Zips raids or the other locations that are being raided by ICE. Is this a coincidence, and is that what you're hearing?
That's what I'm hearing as well from people who are out here with signs. I asked them if it was in response to the search warrants, and they said no, that there was a group protesting down the street when they heard about what was happening, and they all came down here. But then a lot of people ended up joining their group because this is a shopping center with a lot of different restaurants. There's a gym right here. So a lot of the people that we were talking to were on their way to the gym or leaving the gym when they came out and saw this situation, and they decided to either stop, join the protest. A lot of them were here simply just to document what was happening. A lot of people had their phones out recording the situation. But I want to point out that there is a backside to this Zip. So from what we saw, there could have been more going on back there. But from what we saw out here, everything stayed peaceful until these protesters started blocking those cars. But now, as you can see, traffic is moving again. It looks like everyone is getting in their cars and going home for the night.
Yeah. All right. Good to see that.
Yeah.
All right, Gabby, thank you so much for that. We also know that a location in downtown Tempe is also being investigated, where we have federal authorities and sheriff's deputies there on the scene. Let's head out now to Sean Rice, who is there. Sean, has anything changed in the last few minutes?
No, still very much peaceful. The reason I wanted you guys to come back to me is 2 contextual points I wanted to offer as a part of our coverage. The first, I think, is important. DHS is telling us that they have executed multiple search warrants. That means they've presented evidence to a judge that says there is, at the very least, probable cause that a crime has committed here inside this business. The second is these workplace raids are not new for the Valley. As you see some whistling here, it appears as though maybe a sheriff's office. Oh, actually, this is DHS agents exiting the business, being approached by protesters. This is where we typically see, at times, things get out of hand. They're getting into their vehicles. One man has a gun here. It seems as though this is peaceful right now as they enter their unmarked vehicle. They're likely going to try to speed away here.
Sean, you said
let's just watch this play out.
Sean, you said a man has a gun. Who has the gun?
The DHS agents are all armed, which is what I was referencing. One man has U.S. Marshal on the back. They're trying to leave here. We'll see if they allow them to do so.
And Sean, do we think that
very active situation?
Do we think that the search warrant is employment related?
Mark, just speaking off personal experience, that's the point I was coming to next before this scene unfolded. Is we've seen 3 of these happen in the Valley over the last 6 to 8 months. I've covered all 3 of them. One was a taco shop in West Phoenix where a business owner in West Phoenix was convicted of harboring and employing, as it's called, illegal aliens. We've also seen that happen at a barbecue business called Colt Grill in Prescott. Those two owners have not yet been convicted, but they have been arrested for employment violations at the federal level. And most recently, the Sakura sushi locations, 2 in the East Valley and 1 in Scottsdale, those owners are also in federal custody, accused of harboring and employing illegal aliens. We suspect that what's going on with this Zips location may be the exact same thing based off my experience covering these. So this is not new to the Valley, although it's likely to get heated because of this. That's likely what's at play here is employment workplace violations at the federal level. We've seen it happen. It's likely happening again tonight. I'll send it back to you.